All right, hey YouTube, how you doing? It's Max. I think we're somewhere on like 11 or something in terms of dev vlogs. Um, Currently it's the 11th of August, and I have been mainly focusing on plugins lately. So there's this, I guess, content developer, uh, plugin developer, I guess you could say. It's called Visustella, and pretty much I can see if I can pull them up. So Visustella is like this this content developer on Itch, and Itch is this platform where you can kind of like upload video games and stuff like that. So like if you wanted to check out my old games, you could go to later days on Itch, but if you want to check out like if you want to make your own games, you can purchase these plugins by Visustella. And this is one that I don't have yet. It's this battle system, but there was like this bundle that you could get a while back, a couple years ago, that I got. So I have a large list of plugins. Let's see if I can find them. So if I go into MOAT, um, these are the Visustella plugins. So all of these plugins right here are from Visustella, all these Visu MZ plugins. And so I guess how it kind of works is there's a core engine plugin, and this is sort of like the heart. And you need kind of like this core engine to run all this other stuff, and it's tiered. So like the 0 tier is pretty much like the core, and then the next level up is the level 1 plugins, and these are like your battle plugin core. You got like message core, options core, save core, skills core, all these different cores, and then from there they kind of branch off into more specific things. So for example, all of these are different battle styles that they've kind of plugged in, so you can kind of choose a different system to do battle aside from the default one that comes with the program. And so all of these kind of require the battle core, if that makes sense. So all of these, you've got your level twos, and then a lot of your level threes will require like level twos or higher levels, and it goes all the way to level four. So if any of that makes sense, it's almost like a family tree, and this is like the grandparent ancestor. And in order to like use any of these, you got to make sure that you've got this one, and you also have to like set them up in a specific order. So if we go into the plugins section here, you can see that I've got the 0 engine up here, and then I've got all my level 1s underneath the 0, all my level 2s underneath the level 1s, etc. And it comes with this other plugin, which is just this dotted line, and this is pretty much just for organizational purposes. So if I didn't have this dotted line, it might be a little bit more confusing which one's level 1 level versus level 2. So that's what that's for. And then we've got all these kinds of statuses. So the ones that are on are ones that I've kind of looked through a little bit, and I've made some changes and I want to incorporate them in the game so far. So I've mostly done the core and level 1s. I've done a little bit of level 2s, but I still have a lot to go through. This is sort of like the part where it becomes you know, I've got like a solid foundation of the game with like a working map and stuff like that, but there's a lot of little things now that I'll need to like kind of, maybe use plugins for, or maybe I won't need to use plugins, but definitely for like the battling, I haven't really done a whole lot with battling so far, but I'll definitely want to incorporate some of these plugins for battling, such as like the combat system. And there's certain things like I made like a taunt kind of status condition, or status condition. And so this aggro control systems plugin is really going to help a lot with that. It kind of, for example, it comes with three different types of provoking aggro systems. So there's aggro, which is pretty much if your character is very threatening to the enemy, like they're doing a lot of damage or doing a lot of healing. There's a way to increase the priority of enemies to attack. So it has to do with like the enemy AI attacking certain like people. So you can kind of set it to, if this character is doing a lot more damage or doing a lot more healing, then the enemies will prioritize focusing that. So makes the player have to think about like not doing too much with a certain character, otherwise they might get focused down. There's also provoking, which is when a character that you have is provoking another enemy character into attacking the provoker. So, this is like a type of taunt, but then there's the actual taunt. And the actual taunt is when you're not really targeting a certain enemy. It's when you're kind of like taunting in general, and all of the enemies have to attack that taunted creature. So instead of focusing one character into attacking the taunter, it's all the enemies into that taunter. But if you have two taunters, then you've got the enemies can choose between the two taunters. So that's just one example of, you can go into the provoke settings here and change those, the aggro settings here and change those, the taunting um, settings and change those. But that's kind of like just what that one does. But like you've got like your core engine, and this is everything from like, gold settings to like how much max gold you want in your game to display. If it goes over that amount, what kind of icon or what you want it to display. So it might say like a lot of gold if you go over the maximum. You can change the font size of the gold, the font icon of the gold. So right now my font icon is icon 314. And if I go into like items, I can see what 314 is right here. And that's what 314 is. So I can kind of change my icon that way. So like these plugins just kind of help do a little bit more with the game, to I guess further customize it in ways that the vanilla version of the game can't really do. But uh, yeah, there's just a lot of different functions. Visustella, they have like a YouTube channel called Visustella as well that kind of explains what a lot of these plugins sort of do. So you can kind of get them from their website or go to their YouTube channel. They also have a website that also explains this stuff in more detail. So you can kind of see like this is the battle core. I was looking at some things, and you can always just like control F if you want to like go find something. Like I had damage styles, I was looking at the damage styles, and what I'll kind of do from here is I'll go to the my OneNote page, and I have plugins and other, and so for other. I'm writing down like different colors just to have that. These are the parameters that I took from the website. So sometimes I'll put like the website link there so I can get back to it. But this is just kind of me trying to figure out how I want to use the damage system. So it comes with a lot of different options. You can do like one of the Final Fantasy damage systems. You can do like the standard one that comes with the game and armor scaling. You've got like Chrono Trigger, I think that's what that is. You've got MOBA, Pokemon, so different types of ways to calculate damage in combat. And so there's like the formulas, the physical magic attack splits. You've got your stat scales and your damage scales. So a lot of different things to look into. This is just a lot of other parameters like magic damage versus like physical damage and certain hits versus your magic or physical hits, which is a little bit kind of specific, but that's just kind of like where I can like kind of keep some notes. These are like system colors. So this is like the system colors that come with the game that I have in my incorporated into my system. So it goes from 0 and adds up 1. So if you wanted to color something like this color, this shade of red, then that would be number 2. So it'd be 0, 1, 2. So when I'm coding something, I can be like input color 2, and it will be like that red, and then you have to like do the open brackets, close brackets, that kind of thing, and then anything within those brackets will be that shade of red. And so this is just kind of like the key. Instead of having to go into like specific files to like look at this stuff, it's nice just to have it on one page. And so like in the core engine, when you're determining like certain colors for certain things, you can kind of refer to the chart and change them as needed. Same with like when you're in the message core, which is the level 1 instead of the level 0. anytime you input like an actor's name into like a text, it will highlight it a certain color, which will make it easier to reference. Like if if you're in like a dialogue conversation and someone's referencing that they need a certain item or something, it will auto highlight it to the color based on what you coded it to be in message core, if that makes sense. So these are just some like kind of these plugins really help. These are some movement plugins. So in Events Move, which is a plugin, the thing I care about a lot is certain like collisions. So there will be some times where you want like a character to go through a tile that it normally can't go to because the tile is normally set to like a forbidden uh, binary. So it's like allow or disallow. And if the tile is set to disallow, but you want it to be allowed for this one instance, I could label it, and I can show you here. So if I were to go to like the map and go into this one, you'll see that there's all these like translucent tiles. So for these ones, those are the encounters, and that's where you would run into like a character or like an enemy encounter. And so you would do that here with a range of 1 when you're setting your encounters up. So that's like the generic way to do it. But in where was it? In this region rulings, I could do like certain common events happen if I do it set it to a certain number. So if I set it to region 50, I could create a common event and it would play when you do something in region 50. So before I did where is it? See how I did all these like jumping over the ledges, and each one's an individual event. And if I ever wanted to change that somehow, it would I would have to do each one individually and then delete them all and then copy and paste. If I wanted to change that, but with this common events one, I could set it to like 56, and then anytime I do 56, I just have to do it once. I would just have to uh, I would go into here and go to common events and type in the what I want it to do, and then I would just apply 56 everywhere, and then I wouldn't have to change each individual one. I could just go into the common event that it's assigned to and change it one time, and it would apply to all the 56s. So I'll probably do that at some point, just because this is a little bit less efficient, if you know what I mean. Hope that makes sense. But that's kind of like an example of that one. There's elements. I didn't write down a lot of what I did, but some of the preset ones it comes with are these were just some ideas that came with the plugin. I don't think I'm going to use them. I think I'm going to go with the D&D version where it's like the aberration. You got your humanoid, your giant, all that other stuff from D&D. But I wanted to write this down just in case I wanted to incorporate some of these, but I don't know if I will. It was just kind of like an idea that I wanted to, keep just because I was deleting this information and replacing it with information that I already had over here in this. Um, where was it? I think it was status conditions with these races. So the icons I wrote down earlier there, and that's kind of what I was writing down here with these races that I'm not going to use, but just in case. Um, skill states. So this is just a reminder for me to once I start incorporating like finalized versions of the if I go into the states here, I think I talked about in a previous video how I was writing down elements and races. These are going to eventually be passive status conditions, and that's pretty much what this is for. So with global passives, it's kind of like things that it's more just like passive states, if that makes sense. So you've got your elemental types, that's going to be something, and then races will be something as well. And that's just a reminder to eventually update this once I verify um, if these are going to, like, if I want to keep status condition 101 as the aberration race, then I'll input that eventually into that plugin. And then this is some item categories. So in the in the past, I made a spreadsheet with the item databases, and there's like HP restore, mana restore, TP restore, revive. This is just me kind of converting that information into the plugin definition, so always usable. If we go into the, I'll open up the game as well, just so you can see. So with hopefully the volume's not as bad. I think like in the first 10 videos it was like really bad. But if I go into like the menu here and you go into the items, you can see that this is set to field, battle, materials, weapons, shields, all this stuff. And so what I'm kind of doing here is I'm just kind of, so like in this first category, so this is a bit um, so like in field category, field would be like field usable. So this would be stuff that you could only access in the field, which is where I am right now. If I was in the middle of a battle, items that I could only access in the middle of a battle would be here. So that would be like your escape from battles, your TP charges, your battle buffs, your battle debuffs, your status applications, all that stuff. Materials. This would be kind of like if you're doing like item crafting, which is something I'm thinking about implementing in the future. So any logs or ore or fish or ingredients, that would all be in materials. Obviously your weapons, your shields, heads, etc. This is key items. So eventually we'll incorporate all that. The plugins also kind of help manage the menu screen. So defining what these are gonna say, the symbols, all that kind of stuff. If I wanted to add like item crafting and quests, which I'll probably eventually do, but this is just the start. So status is basically you can look at a character's parameters, properties, elements, like what they're strong, weak against, what they have access to. So like the skill types, the weapon types, the armor types. Um, and then, this is the items we were just looking at. If I wanted to re-equip a character with certain items, you'd go to the equipped, and there's the different parameters that are involved in that. These are the skills or the abilities that each character kind of knows. So right now I just have the kill move and the suicide move. And those are just test moves. So kill move would obviously like kill everything, all the enemies, to just kind of test that out. And then the suicide move is basically kill the entire party to test out death mechanics and stuff like that. Um, Formation is changing the party roster with your who you have kind of in the slots, so you can kind of organize all these around. So that's that. Your different options. So playing with always dash, and if I toggle R, I can switch between running and walking. The run speed normally is set to much higher, but I wanted to slow it down just because it felt like kind of like it's a strain on your eyes if you run too fast. So it's not like that much of a difference, but I think the map is small enough to where it's not gonna be like too terrible. Still got the jumping mechanics. With the plugins, you can now run diagonally and stuff like that, which is nice. There is something I know where you can kind of like turn around without moving. I haven't found where that is yet, but I'll probably eventually do that. Adding some animations before the battles. This was kind of, oh wow, they do a lot of damage. So obviously I haven't balanced combat yet or anything, but if I do the kill move, then it will auto destroy everything. And if I do the I'll get into another battle and test out the death mechanics. So yeah, that's destroying all my people. But if I do the suicide move, that kills everybody. And then it will say like, oh no, you lost, and teleport you back to Manaheim. So that's just kind of like something to kind of like a reset instead of having it be like a game over screen, so you don't lose your progress. But yeah, that's kind of what that is. I don't think there was anything else I was working on. If there was, I didn't write it down yet. I was kind of writing down some notes for a tutorial, pretty basic stuff so far. So just kind of like how to run, how to toggle run, how to move. We already talked about those. These were some plugins. I was thinking about doing this, but then I just was like, oh, maybe I'll just create this other tab. But I think that's probably good for this kind of update. Um, we're getting through a lot of the plugins. As you can see, there's a lot more to get through. So I'll probably just kind of like try to relearn a lot of these and just see what uh, kind of make some like notes of what I want to eventually add to the game and stuff like that. I also really want to add skills at some point, um, but I don't really know how I want to do that completely. If I want to do like a class system, I do like the idea of it being very customizable with weapons. So like depending on how you outfit your characters, they can do a lot more stuff. So kind of customizable based on weapons and gear, I think is something that I kind of like more than um, just certain classes. Uh, but yeah, that's something that we'll figure it out eventually. But yeah, that's enough for this one. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Bye.